actually have been speaking with Gary Pereira at the Marcy office of USDA. They're excited about the program. We've got a lot of players, but the lenders will not release the funds. And we even have a joint venture group that would be willing to bring the money in through a qualified USDA lender, and we can't get anyone to come to the head of the table. I don't know why.
Okay. Well, probably better to take offline rather than here, but I'd be happy to engage with you. It sounds like you've got a good project. We hear this all over the country that we've got a cash crunch for small businesses, that we've got credit crunches out there, and there are banks that are making loans, but there's a lot of fear and concern in the industry as people are pulling back, and the regulators are, because everybody knows this, there's a lot of banks in trouble all over the country. We haven't had many in New York. I think we've only had one, actually, that the FDIC's had to take over, but because of the balance sheet problems the banks have all over the world, the regulators have generally gotten much tighter, and they're looking very with a lot of detail. They're looking and pushing and prodding all the banks, and I think it's made the banks generally a little bit more nervous. That said, a number of the banks that I'm dealing with in the 20th District have been lending, so I'd be happy to work with you offline and try to get you in touch with some more people and see what we can do.
And I think the frustration that you hear is not so much particularly our project, because all of us as taxpayers has funded the economic stimulus bailout, and the idea was that this was supposed to trickle down. Well, there's been no trickle down to us in this room here. We're the people on Main Street, and we haven't seen any of that. So that's really the message that, I mean, if you could explain maybe why that's not happening, that would be very valuable to us.
Okay.
Congressman, my name is Mary Beth Solano. I'm Executive Director of the County Chamber. I understand about the job bills and what they're doing in Washington to help small businesses. In Delaware County, our small businesses are not like your normal small businesses. We have small businesses, 5 employees or less, sole proprietors. That's the hub for our communities. It's our small businesses. We need help from the federal government with stimulus money, like Peter said, to trickle down to small businesses in Delaware County with 5 employees or less. New York State considers, a small business 500 employees or less. That's not even the norm.
No, I understand. The companies that I've been investing in for years are
90%
5-person
small
companies.
business.
Right.
And I mean small business. We're not getting any benefit from that right now. We need that benefit.
Got it. Well, and the SBA is the place for businesses of that size really to trickle down. We had, the program that was put in place with the stimulus package to allow you to get interest-free loan to try to help cover other SBA loans. And really, that's been the focus of trying to get capital to the very smallest businesses is through the SBA program, which doesn't mean that it's working for everybody, but that has been really the focus of how to get help to the very smallest businesses. So actually that reminds me, and I skipped this and I should have done a better job, and I apologize. Mary Beth is one of our hosts, and I want to say thank you very much to you and the Chamber for hosting us. I wanted to thank Mark Berman from the Central Catskills Chamber for being one of our hosts today. Candice Fanco from SUNY Delhi, I wanted to say thanks, who had offered to host this, but we thought it was better to get you good food at the same time. I want to say thanks to, not this is excellent. Let me back up. Let me finish that. I was imagining an auditorium without food versus eating and talking at the same time. That is actually what was in my head. My staff mentions that they're on spring break and they couldn't make food, but I was actually just imagining somehow that they don't have food there. I don't know what I thought the kids ate, but I was imagining that it was a non-food option. And I want to say thanks to our host and to everybody here for letting us be here, and thank them very much for providing lunch, and especially to Carol O'Byrne, who did the work to put this event together. Thank you very much.
Oh, don't worry about it. It's on the video.
You can tell that I'm new at this, can't you? I don't really have those years of experience. I'm still learning. Welcome to Delaware County.
You think you'd get it straight after all those suppers with your family this big, right? I want to thank you very much.
We have a wide range of quality depending on whose week it is to make dinner. I can promise you that. It's
I
fascinating.
can imagine. My name is Rita Herbst. I am the project coordinator for the Wellness Committee in Margaretville Hospital, the Auxiliary. And what we're doing is trying to get people to do self-help, to learn how to take care of themselves, to try to reduce the cost of health care in the area. And We're doing a lot of projects. I know one of the people are putting a letter into Mrs. Obama, trying to ask for whatever help we can get through that. We're doing community gardens to let people learn how to eat right and try to get nutrition in, obesity. We're bringing in a lot of doctors to come in from Catskill, from Kingston, to come up and do educational series for people to learn. But what we would like to know from you is what we can get for resources to help us in all this.
So that is, I won't say that I'm an expert on exactly where the federal resources are on wellness programs. Benedict McCaffrey, who's here from my office, is the right person to follow up with, and we can do some research and try to help you find that. I don't know off the top of my head. I will tell you that one of the things that I like about the healthcare reform legislation that we have moving in the House and the Senate, and actually that I like better about the Senate bill, is more of a focus on individuals being empowered to and responsible to take care of their own health, to incentivize them with premium reductions, to do the things that will help them, and to put in place grant programs and other things to really try to help programs like yours. Because what we see as we look around from the data, you know, the story I like to tell is of Safeway, a large grocery company all over the country. They got very serious about wellness and working with their employees, and for the last 4 years, they've seen a 2% increase in their overall cost of healthcare for all of their workers in the aggregate across the whole country. That's way less than everybody else is seeing, because they've really gotten very aggressive about forcing people to take it seriously, think about it, trying to encourage people with incentives to take blood pressure medicine and cholesterol medicine, things that we know help you in the long term, but you know, it's not necessarily obvious that they're helping you this week or next week as you're going through the process. So those kind of initiatives are things, that's some of the best stuff that is in the healthcare legislation, and something that I like about what we're doing, and happy to have Benedict follow up with you to try to get you some more information on where we can get access for funding. That ties into a question I'm sure lots of people have, which is what's going on with healthcare, since you can't really miss that in federal legislative land. House passed a bill. I voted against the bill in the House. Most of you probably know that. If you don't know that, I'll tell you. I thought that the House bill did a good job on getting a lot more people covered, did a good job on increasing the accountability of insurance companies and doing some insurance reform, but I didn't think it did a very good job of taking overall cost out of the system and fixing some of the broken incentives to over-testing and overspending in our system. We know our system, for what we do, costs twice as much as other countries around the world. We know there are ways to pare that down, and I didn't think for what we were spending in terms of covering everybody and the entitlement we were adding, we were getting enough from the pushback on the medical community and ways to cut cost out of the system and change broken incentives. The Senate then passed a bill in December. Now we're talking about some process for reconciling those bills and going forward. You saw the President had a summit last week, which I thought was a great step. I thought it was one of the best things I've seen in American politics in a long time, to actually force the leaders from both sides on TV to stand there and talk about issues and actually really talk about them. It reminds me, if you've ever seen this on TV, Question Time they have in the United Kingdom, where you see all their political leaders like really at it. I think we should just do that in the United States. I think it'd be great if there was an hour once a week where the leaders of the House and the Senate and the President all were like doing this kind of thing, because I think it's good for our democracy, it's good for debate and dialogue, and you get out of sound bites and you actually have to talk about issues. It didn't look like we came to what I would love to have, which is widespread consensus around how to solve some of our healthcare problems. There's widespread consensus when I travel the 20th District and all over the country that we've got problems and we could do things more efficiently and better. We've got great care at the highest level, but we have pretty mediocre average outcomes, and we have costs that are spiraling out of control that I hear from small businesses all the time are crushing them. So I was more hopeful that we would get more progress out of the summit in terms of coming together. It seems like that's not going to happen, and instead the President, in working with the Senate and House leadership, is going to put together kind of a final bill, and then we'll take a vote on it. And as I've said all along, I'm going to look at that bill and try to decide at the end of the day, do I think in the aggregate it makes the system better or worse than where we are today? I can promise you there are going to be things in there that I hate. I can promise you there are going to be things in there that I love, and I would bet everybody in the room is the same way, because it's going to be a giant bill. And I'm going to weigh them at the end of the day and figure out whether I think there's more good than bad in terms of how it's going to impact everybody getting coverage, costs to our small businesses and our families, and the quality of care that we're all going to get. And then I'm going to make a decision, and I'm quite sure that some of the people in the room would be very furious at me for my decision, and I'm quite sure that some will be very happy no matter which way I decide. That's the nature of this issue. It really has split the country, and there are very strong opinions on both sides, and I'm going to do the best I can to come up with a rational guess as to whether this is going to make it better or worse, and make my decision once I get to see the actual language in the legislation, because as I say, I know there will be things that I like and don't like, and that's where we're going. So that was a long answer to your